Hi everyone, it's Linda from LindaZ in Arlington Heights, Illinois, ready for some really fun things on a really cute little quilt machine. I am so excited to show you this today because usually I'm sewing on a huge, big mega machine that's maybe $20,000 or whatever. And I've had quite a few events lately where I've been there and have been talking to people, and I've seen that many of you need to have a lesser expensive machine that works really well, that you can take to class. It's not real big. And we have found one for you, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it today. I really think there's a necessity out there for people that are maybe you already have one of these great big top of the line machines, and they are big, and you just don't want to take it when you're going on retreat or you're going to your daughter's house or your friend's house or whatever, and you want to be able to, do some sewing, and you don't want to lug a great big machine with. So this is one of the reasons that I'm going to show you what this is today and why I think it would be a good investment for you. And also, there's another customer that I have really trying to help and have really been aware of, and that's the customer that's just starting. That might be you, it might be your friend, it might be somebody who want to get into sewing and quilting, but you're not, maybe they just don't want to spend that, those big dollars, and yet they want to be able to have a good quality machine to start with. Well, we found one. We were at an event, and rather than send these machines back, they're $1,200, or I guess they're even more, $1,250, and they are on special because we're not going to send them back. We're going to throw them out at you, with a great price. And that way, you can tell your friends, you can definitely buy one. And Nick, they will be on the website, right? Yeah. Oh, great. So it'll be on the website. There'll be a link right there. You can just press on it and we will ship it to you at no charge, and it doesn't matter where you are. So let's get started to show you what it is. It's called the QE, the Sparrow QE. It's an Eversewn, which is a good quality machine. This has got the bigger bed, which I think is really important. It's not heavy. You know how to do this. If you're right-handed, you want to lift it up with your handle and put your hand in here. Lift it up like that. Very easy to lift up. It's not heavy, but yet it's not so light that it's going to blow away, or it's not going to stand up. It's got that space age material that is really going to stand up. I don't know if they can see the front of this, Nick, but so I want you to look at the screen here. It's wonderful because it's really very simple and yet very easy to follow because it's got all of the markings on there. These buttons right down here they're just flat. All you have to do is touch it, and now it's a preset, and it'll automatically set it up to whatever you need to do. I don't know if any of you noticed what happened here, but that's the needle. See that little zigzag, that little straight stitch? And look how far over to the left it is. If you look on this machine over here, I'll put my finger right here so you can kind of see it. Do you see how that has gone right over to the left of the zigzag foot? Now, why would you want that? That is one of the most wonderful things you could have on a machine. It's a 7mm stitch. And I'm going to show you how I know that because I can go ahead and touch these arrows right here and look at how it is moving. Look at all these numbers that it's going up to. Now, if you look at the needle, look at it, went to 7.0, and now look where the needle is. It's all the way over on the right side. And why would you need that? Well, your zippers, your straight stitching, your anytime you want to do top stitching, anytime you want to do an edging, cording, piping. I mean, there's so many different variables. But I'm going to bring that right back to this stitch, which was this one. It was preset, and it went right back there. And I want to tell you a little bit something about this because I think a lot of people don't realize this. And it's got a needle up, needle down. So I'm going to put the needle down. You might be able to see it a little bit better. Let me just stick it down there. See the needle all the way down now? And you see how it's all the way over to the left here? Watch where that is in relation to the bobbin. If I take this little bobbin thing off, you will see that this needle is coming off right exactly where the bobbin winds. So when that bobbin comes off here and you're making your stitch from the bottom to the top and the two intertwine, you're at the exact perfect spot you could have for perfect tension. The minute that you start moving it over here, so I'm gonna take the preset in the middle, and do you see how it moved it over to the middle right now? So now it's off center from where the actual thread comes into the bobbin. And that may not make a lot of sense to you, but the way these machines are designed with the tension for the bobbin and the needle, that by having it over here to the left when you're doing your straight stitch is absolutely the best place you could have it, because it will give you wonderful tension. Now, some of you are saying, well, gee, I don't want to sew over on the left. I want to put it in the middle. Well, just, touch your preset and it'll go right back to the middle. You'll find, however, if you want the top and the bottom to look the same, you go back over here and it'll be perfect. So I love that they've done that. That's one of the great features on this. To get a machine of this caliber, usually our bigger machines are in $2,000, $3,000 to have that kind of a feature. So to have something for, I don't know if I gave the price before, but it is a $1,250 retail. And because, again, we've had these at events and we're not going to send them back. They're new. They're brand new sewing machines. They haven't even been opened. You will be able to buy it for $595. I know it's like, are you kidding me? But what we want is we want you to have a good quality machine. When you're going to your other places and whatever, there's nothing worse for us as a dealer and you as a consumer. You're in front of your friends and you're sewing on your quilt or fabric, whatever you're doing, and the machine doesn't work or the tension is off or whatever. And that's not going to happen here. That's why I really wanted to showcase this machine. I thought it was just such a great one. And another thing that I'm doing, I already wound the bobbin, and I'll show you up on the top when I will lift up this screen. You can see that it's got a great little bobbin system and everything is marked. You're going to go through here, 1, 2, around here, around. You're going to catch it underneath. See, there's a little clip there. You're going to go behind here, catch it underneath this little spring, and then you're going to wind it from this way around. You're going to put the bobbin. We've got an extra one in here I can show you. You're going to put it right on here, and what you're going to do, you're going to go around, and it's got a little thread cutter that you can go around and cut it with. The coolest thing is I'm going to push it over, and look at the screen. The bobbin comes on, and now I can wind this with my foot, which is really a wonderful thing. Then you can stop and start wherever you want. So it's one of the best bobbin systems I've seen in a long time for this caliber of machine. And then look on here, it's got a little bit of a base on it, because I bet, and I'm sure I'm not alone, that we've had people wind your bobbin and got it caught right underneath the bobbin. That's not going to happen here because you've got a nice base to easily hold it for you. So let's start by actually threading the machine. I already have the bobbin in there, so I don't need to do that. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to do something a little bit different than what it shows. You could do it either way, but this is a cross-wound thread. And when I have a cross-wound thread, see how it's going this way and that way? I like to do it over the top. This right here is the bottom. So watch now when I do it the other way. I'll put this back on. And now do you see how it's going back and forwards? See that? And now do you see the threads going over the top? I have found on these threads, by going over, even though they tell you to go over on the bottom, by going over the top, it just seems to make the thread smoother. And, I've done this from experience, and if you start to find that you're having any issues, then go ahead and change it. But I like it over the top. That's something we've done for many, many years and taught for many times. Now, if you notice what I did here, I went from 1 to right down here with the little arrows to 2 to 3, 4, 5, all the way down here. And then this is really a cool thing. If you notice, this foot is up. Make sure that foot is up until you get all the way down here. Now I can take that foot and put it down. Now, what has that done? It's given me tension. It's given me a tightness on the tension, so the thread's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to put it right behind that little hook there. And then this has got an automatic needle threader. So I'm just going to, it's now, have you ever done this where you get to this point and you think, uh-oh, my thread, my bobbin, my needle isn't in the right position. This machine has a needle up, needle down. See what I just did? Always do this before you thread your automatic needle threader. Push this down, And now push it up. And why am I doing that? Because now I know that my needle is in the exact right position for it to thread, and I will never have any issues when it's going. So look at that. The thread came perfectly off the back. It wound, I had a whole bunch of thread. You don't need that much, but it wound perfectly off the back. Let me take that out of there. Let me do that one more time so you can see it. Okay, press it, and see how that little loop is back here? I'm going to pull that through. If you have too much thread, all you have to do is cut that. I want to bring all that through the needle. So I'm bringing that back, and then we have a little thread cutter that I'm going to head it up there. So this is the best way, and if those of you that have other machines that have automatic needle threaders, the reason that you get into trouble with your needle threaders is because you haven't put that needle up, needle down. If you have a needle up, needle down button, always, always, always use it before you actually bring that thread down to touch the needle. Then it will always be in the right position. So the other thing I want you to notice is that not only I'm going to raise my foot, and I'm going to put this little thread through the clip here. I want to get it underneath, because this again is a really nice threader. See how it holds it real strong? But you can notice that on the top, on the bobbin, on the thread that goes through the needle, I'm using Metrazine thread. On the bobbin itself, I'm also using Metrazine thread. I'm going to put my little plate back in. So I'm using the same thread as the top and the bottom. I want this thread to show up a little bit, so it's a little bit heavier thread. And you would not want to use, for instance, your 40 weight thread that you use for embroidery and your 60 weight in the bobbin. That's great when you're doing hoop embroidery. If you've got a hoop, this machine does not. But when you're using, you're doing sewing technique, if I were to be making a garment right now, I would use the 100 weight Metrazine in the top, and I would use 100 weight Metrazine in the bobbin. If I were to be, if I were quilting right now, I like Aurifil thread. I'd put my 50 in the top and my 50 in the bottom, and I do my piecing. This one is a 50 weight thread. It's just a little thinner. It's a 2-ply, so it's a little thicker. There isn't a method of higher the number, the finer the thread. This is a little bit different than that because it's a 2-ply. But as I get into this, I want to show you what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead and start with that preset stitch on the left because I want you to see that. Now I am standing up sewing, but it's just such a beautiful stitch. And what is really cool about this is now I've got to the bottom and I want to cut my threads. It automatically has a thread cutter. So it's all done, ready to go, and the threads have been cut. I don't know if you can see that up close, but it's a beautiful stitch. I'm going to take just 2 layers of fabric, nothing else, just as if we were doing a quilt stitch. Now I would want my 1/4 inch foot on there if I was doing that. Again, I'm going to cut my stitch. It's all cut. And I don't even have to take my hands off my fabric. Look what I can do. I can release that with my knee. There's a knee lift lever. And look at that beautiful stitch on the back. I don't know, Nick, if they can see that front and back, but you can hardly tell which is the front or which is the back. It's just such a gorgeous stitch. And that's because it's in that left needle position. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of those stitches that I think are really good about this stitch. I like to get rid of those threads when I'm sewing. It's a force of habit, I guess. And again, rather than lifting this, which is what most people do, if I'm sitting down, I can just bring my knee lift lever up. Do you see how that's raising and lowering the foot there? So I don't have to even touch this. I can keep my hands right on the fabric where they should be, and then the knee lift is what is raising and lowering the foot. I'm going to do another one of the blanket stitches. It's a tiny blanket stitch, but I can do a bigger one too. And it's just a real nice little applique stitch if you're going to be doing an edge, or if you want to do a patch. Depends on the fabric. If it's a fine fabric, this is something I've used. If it wasn't and you wanted to do a different kind of pattern, you can see I can cut, I can see that little button right there. That tells you that it'll tack it right at the beginning when it starts. And I can do that at any time, which is really wonderful. And I can go ahead and do the cutting at the same time. Now, this is your stitch length and width. If you do need to change your tension, of course, it's right here. But this is what I want to show you on the screen. Look at this. This is 26 through 30, and it's going to go all the way up to 70. So you've got a great amount of stitches here that are really fun. And then you've got all these different buttonholes. So if you wanted to do home dec, it would be so easy to use these stitches. But before I do any, I want to just try one. I like this little heart's cute. So let's do that. And we'll go ahead and touch it. And now everything is set up to do the heart. And look at how nicely that's sewing. I mean, I'm not even touching it. It's just guiding it a little bit. And then I could do the tack at the end so that it would go ahead and tie off right at the same time and cut the threads at the same time. Okay, and just want to make sure I got that right. And sure enough, perfect. Look at that. And on the back, I've got some stabilizer so it holds it. Whenever you're doing a decorative stitch like this, you always want to put a little stabilizer behind it that will hold it so nicely. A couple of other things I want to show you that are really great that, again, I know I'm going into kind of a lot of detail, but I think it's important for you to see. You don't want too much on a machine that you want to be able to take to class or to use as a second machine or as a quilting machine, but you want the most important features. You have a reverse stitch, which is essential. You have a turtle stitch. Now, why would you need a turtle stitch? For those of us that want to sew very slow when we're going around a corner, you're doing a patch, that would be very, very important. That needle up, needle down on this side, you can touch this side of the button, you'll get needle up, needle down. This side, it'll go turtle stitch and it'll just go very, very slow. You've got your thread cutter, and then this is a stitch. Now, you notice I was sewing pretty fast, but you can do it very, very slow too, which I'm going to put another one on here. Let's put it right next to where I was. Use that knee left so you can see how easy it is. And let's put this stitch on. That was a preset. Now I'm gonna leave it on. That's the way I sew, real fast. But I'm gonna bring it down. Say you wanna watch to see where you're going, or even slower, and see how it's doing a very nice slow stitch right now. But you're not sure where turtle is, so you're just gonna touch the turtle. And it's just gonna sew it very, very, very slow. See how nice that is? I'm just gonna cut those threads, and it'll come up again. So this area right here is just wonderful for being able to show it. And look at the stitch. Look at how nice that is. The other thing is that when you're doing these stitches like this, I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is to have it right here so it's visible. It's easy for you to start right away. You can see it right in front of you. You can focus right here with your hands on. And again, I can't stress enough about this knee lift lever. Look at how, a lot of times people think when there's a knee lift lever, and honestly they do, they tell us this all the time, oh, that's how you sew, that makes the machine go. No, that does not make the machine go. Our older machines used to do that. But this is a lift that is raising and lowering the presser foot every time I'm moving my arm. I use it with my knee when I'm sitting down, and because I'm standing, I have to raise my leg to do it, but it's still doable. The key thing when you have a knee lift lever is you want to be able to keep your hands on your fabric like this when you're sewing. You want to keep them right here so you can guide it so you're accurate, so that's perfectly accurate. The next thing that I want to show you that I think is really a key thing is that these patterns are all available for many, many stitches. I think they're, a lot of times people show you these patterns and they don't know what they're for. These are utility stitches. You can look up here on the cover, which I think is really nice. This focusing on here, maybe you'll see numbers 11 through 15, and then you look up here, 11 through 15. This is a stretch stitch. These are all wonderful stitches for utilities. When we go into some of our classes, we explain what they're for. Number 7 is a good patching stitch. There's many stitches in here that would be considered utility. And then we start going into some of our bigger blanket stitches, our wonderful stitches for, again, some of the crazy quilts or applique stitches. Again, we go into a little bit of decorative stitching. You even have cross stitching, which is amazing, again, in a machine that's way under $1,000. You've got some great decorative stitches here that are really fun if you want to do some regular clothing or home deck. You want to do some pillow slips. You want to do the sheets are just beautiful. You buy a set of sheets for a wedding and put that decorative stitch along there, and you've already added about $75 just to the value of the gift. And then as you get through, now you go back into these quilting. Look at, you even have a stippling stitch. Then we have satin stitches that are beautiful, these decorative bows, and then we go into all of our buttonholes. So again, I cannot stress what a beautiful buy this is for this kind of value. And I did, at one of the events that I was at, and people were buying these like crazy, it was like popcorn. They were just going, I gotta have one, I gotta have one. Well, they were buying the Sew Steady table also to go around it. They do make a Sew Steady table. I know we have them, I think we have them on our website. I know we've had them on our website. You can always call the store. They can give you a price, or maybe we can make sure that one is on this video so you can see it. So let me just review real quickly. There's a big 8-inch throat space here. That's huge for, you know, what you're getting to be able to take one with you. You have the knee lift lever, which I think is just crucial. And I'll take it out here to show you what it is. It's this. I don't know if you can see it here. If I put it down on the table, what's the best way to show it? And it's just a little lever that goes like this, and it moves the lift up and down. And you see this with my hand where I'm pushing this, I'm raising the foot, I'm lowering the foot. Look at where I'm doing that. I'm not having to reach way back and do it up here. It's right here. So when you do use this manually to bring it up and down, it's in the right position. It's in a great position for you to be able to easily get at it and access it. Then you have your automatic needle threader. Of course, you've got this speed control dialer, which is just wonderful. I wouldn't be without that. And I can't believe they're including a straight stitch plate. That's amazing for, again, the quality of is just great. And then to have these extra things with it is really amazing. It's a high-performance sewing machine. It has over 70 stitch patterns, and each one of those can be changed because you can change the zigzag width and the straight stitch width. So you can make up your own stitches, which is really a wonderful part of it too. And again, you saw me open these little trays. There's a great buttonhole back here. A nice little tray for it. I've tried the buttonhole, and it's just does a very, very nice job. And I know quilters always say, well, I don't use buttonholes. You probably do if you're going to make a duvet quilt, or you're going to make a pillow with a long, keyhole buttonhole to get the big buttons. You're seeing a lot of that today. And then the tray that comes off is really great because it's got all of your accessories in here. And look at on the back here. It has a little switch to bring your needles, your feed dogs up and down. Because what do quilters or menders, people that are repairing, what do they always need? When you're free motioning or you're pushing that thread around to be able to cover up that patch, of course, you need to drop your needles. Drop your feed dogs, okay? So again, I think everything is here. Probably a soft cover, I didn't even check, but it's got a nice little handle on it, and it's all ready for you to go to take to class. Thanks, everyone. I hope you'll love sewing on this. I hope you learned a little bit, even if you don't have this machine, about the needle up, needle down before you thread. And have a great week. Hope to see you next week.